Good morning.
I'm Aimee Bousquet. I'm the Associate Dean of Accelerated Learning at HCC, and I just started this position December 1st. Prior to this, well, I've been at HCC for a number of years. I taught English, so I taught dual enrollment students. And then it's about 6 years ago I transitioned to administration, and I was an assistant dean of humanities, then I was the dean, interim dean during a time, and then associate dean of humanities. And that's really where I became accustomed to dual enrollment and working with the high schools. And as of December 1st, I'm new to this role, but not new to dual enrollment. All right, so how that works. Okay, so that's just to give you a little bit background on me. And I'm happy to be here with you all. I'm interested to learn about homeschooling from you too. So it's like a partnership. I'm here to tell you about HCC, and then you can tell me about your organization as well. As we ask questions, at the end when we ask some questions and we go through some things. Okay, and I mean, feel free to, I'm gonna go through a couple of steps. I gave you a handout with some information, with my contact information at the bottom, and with what I feel are nuggets of information that you need. But if you want any of this, I know that they're recording it, just let me know. Most of this is from our website too. Okay, so a couple of things. If anyone is not, is anyone here not familiar with dual enrollment? So? Okay, great. I'll tell you what dual enrollment is. So dual enrollment it's actually a national program. In the state of Florida, we call it dual enrollment, and other places around the country, they call it dual credit. For example, I'm going to Texas next week for a conference. In the state of Texas, it's called dual credit. Same thing, right? And what it means is students who have certain test scores and have a certain GPA can take college classes at the same time that they're taking high school classes, and even middle school. We have the state of Florida, according to, and you'll see it here, all right, this is a state mandated program and governed by the Florida state statute, and if you want to look this up, it's 1007.271. All of our articulation agreements with the various schools in Hillsborough County, we must follow that. That's what the Florida state mandates about dual enrollment. And we can have students, it doesn't really say a grade, it says an age, right? So it's from 12 years old above. So if they test, and if they are able to have the GPA, and then they're able to take the courses. Now, a lot depends on the maturity. You know your children. You know. So let's go through a couple of things. Because I think at first it's like, yeah, this sounds great. But I've seen a lot of horror stories, and I've witnessed and been through and had students and parents in my office crying for various reasons. Because remember that a transcript is forever. So we'll go through those things. So I'll give you the information, and then that's your choice kind to make. But students participating in dual enrollment, it's completely free. It is free. So I always say it's the best kept secret in Hillsborough County, because you're saving time, you're saving money. And what you can take at HCC basically are your general education courses. And your general education courses are what you need no matter where you go. So if your son or daughter, if your child wants to go to later on to University of Florida or USF, stay home, or UCF or wherever, most of these credits, if not all, will transfer over. Because we're actually in the state, we use the same numerical system. So Comp 1, what I used to teach, ENC 1101, is the same at HCC as it is at USF. As it is at UF. They may not want to think so, but it is. It is the same. So we follow the same, the course numeration. So that's important. So when you see courses that, did I put numerations on there right? Yes, I did. I'll get to those in a second and we can talk about that. Oops. What happened?
Your laptop just went to sleep,
Yeah.
so.
There we go, it's coming back. I gotta keep touching it. Alright, backwards. Here we go. So advantages. You earn credit towards your college degree. Obviously, you're saving time, you're saving money. It gives students a good understanding of what college is like, especially if they take our SLS class, 1106, SLS 1106, which is our kind of our orientation to academia and the world of college. It also, that course also dabbles a little bit into careers, and we'll talk about that. College graduation rates, I think this is interesting. For students who participate in dual enrollment are higher because you have that leg up, you've kind of had the experience, all right? And of course, it's free. All right, disadvantages. If you're going to an out-of-state school, remember what I said, in the state of Florida, but if you're going to an out-of-state school, a Northeastern school, one of the Ivies, let's say, they may not accept the credit. So that's important. But that's the same with students who take AP courses too. Some of these Ivy Leagues don't accept the APs, and so they have to take their English. So, I mean, that's just kind of the same in that sense. All right, so if the student is not successful, it is part of their permanent record. And that's what we talked about, transcripts are forever. So I'll touch a little bit more on that later. And there's not as much time for extracurricular activities. So these are advantages, but if you look at it, I think the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. All right, so I'll tell you right now, this spring semester, we have over 5,000 students enrolled in dual enrollment, and 180 are homeschoolers. Right now, I can tell you, I know the number, because we do, the data. We pull the data, and so I have 180 homeschoolers right now. So know that we already have, it's in our system, this isn't something new. All right, what can they take? The main degree that everyone goes for is the AA. Why? Because the AA is the one that's our transferable. So a lot of students ask, and students are confused, that's why I say that SLS class is a good kind of starter. What's the difference between an associate in science degree and associate in arts degree? Some folks think that one has to do with the arts and the other one has to do with the sciences. No, not at all. At HCC, we offer one associate in arts degree. One. It's the associate in arts degree. There are various pathways, but you only get one AA. All right? That degree is the one that after you get your AA, you can then transfer to a 4-year institution and finish up your degree. Because what you're really taking with an AA are all of your gen ed classes, your basic classes. But those are really important. Like I was talking to, what's your name, I'm sorry?
Oh, Nicole.
Nicole, that's right, how can I forget? That's my daughter's name, Nicole. All right, I was talking to Nicole about gen ed and the importance of gen ed because, and just liberal arts education in general, right? I think it's so important and so valuable. And students all the time say, oh, I have to take this class, I have to. And sometimes, you'll take an anthropology class just because it fits your time schedule and you have no idea and you end up falling in love. And you may bump into something and absolutely fall in love with the topic and want to know more. And I love that, when I see a student's intellectual curiosity, I can talk forever about education. When you see that intellectual curiosity go and you realize that they're hungry to know more, there's nothing like that. So, and it opens a student's mind. If they take philosophy, they'll learn to argue, they'll learn to create and make solid arguments, and that'll help them with anything in life, So they're just, the value of a liberal arts education is, I can't express into words how important it is. So.
And that's really helpful for your student that wants to go to college, but they don't know what they want to do. Like my oldest, he was filling out his USF application after getting his AA at HCC and still trying to decide what path to go. But that allowed him to do the dual enrollment plus then finish after high school, keep moving forward, but even though he wasn't sure what he wanted to do. So that AA is a great option.
Thank you for that testimonial. I'll pay you later. But yes, so that's the essence of an AA. An AS degree is our 2-year degree, what we call workforce. Those are degrees where students take certain classes and then they can go out and start working. We've got our dental program, dental hygienist program. We've got all kinds of programs in what with our 2-year degrees, and then they can go out and start and get a job in that. All right? Not designed for students to transfer to a university, only designed for students to then start working in the field. And some general education courses are included in that, but not too many. Then there's some certificate programs, and these are limited. There are only a couple of certificate programs that dual enrollment students can take, not all of them. But mainly, everybody, this is what we go for, is the AA. All right, so do all dual enrollment students complete a degree? No, not all. Some do complete their degree, in Hillsborough County, there are 27 area high schools that offer dual enrollment, and we have 4 collegiate academies. And at the collegiate academies are interesting because those students graduate with their AA before they have their high school diploma. Because our graduation is always the first Friday in May, and high school graduations are later on in May. So we always kind of find that interesting. But do you have to complete it? No, you do not. You can simply transfer with the credits that you have. And it'll save time, it'll save money. My daughter did dual enrollment in AP, and she started as a freshman. She was a second semester freshman instead of a first semester freshman. You know, so it's not, yes, degree completion is wonderful, but they don't have to. They can simply transfer these credits on. Yes?
I heard, so that's why I'm kind of trying to see if that's the case, that if they graduate with their AA before they graduate high school, then they are not eligible for the Bright Futures. Do you know anything about that?
No, I didn't, no.
Okay.
Why, I don't understand why they wouldn't be,
That you have to graduate like like not actually apply for your AA as a student, because then you wouldn't be able to get the Bright Futures.
no, I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah, because then you wouldn't be going in as a freshman. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Bright Futures has different requirements.
I understand that, but you know what? I was at USF on Thursday morning, all day for this conference at USF, and our students go in as freshmen even though they have an AA. They're not considered transfers, they go in as freshmen.
Oh, interesting.
So check on that, because I don't know the validity of that,
Yeah.
okay? Because many of, yeah, for example, our students who finished with their AA and they transfer over, and especially in what we call the FUSE program, which is a program that we have with University of South Florida, which students can go right in to a 4-year program. They start as freshmen. They're not considered transfers.
Can I say one comment on that?
Sure.
It's basically my understanding, I'm not sure if it applies to Bright Futures, but it's the first time in college that they cannot take more than 12 credits.
FTIC, yeah.
12 credits after they receive their AA to be first time in college, when they transfer.
Right.
But I'm not sure if that applies to the Bright Futures.
Because we call, yeah, those are what we call FTIC, first time in college students. A couple of other things that I think you need to know too. Per semester, dual enrollment students can only take 10 credits. They're limited to 10 credits, that's it. Most of our classes are 3-credit classes, so why that arbitrary number 10 instead of 9? Because it used to be, years ago, it used to be 9 credits. And then the state changed it to 10. Here's why. If you take a science, you're mandatory, you have to take a lab with it, and the lab is a 1-credit class. So if you're taking anatomy and physiology, right? You're taking the class and the lab, so that's 4. So then out of 9, then that would put, it wasn't beneficial to students. So we changed it from 9 to 10. That way they can take, if students wanna take all 3-credit classes, that's fine. They're only taking 9. And some take 1 or some take 2, you know what I mean? It's not one class, not 1 credit, 1 class. or 2 classes. It doesn't mean you have to, you're allowed up to. So that's what's important, you're allowed up to that number. Okay. When can they enroll in dual enrollment? We have 3 semesters a year, fall, spring, and summer. All right, so, and this, obviously, fall starts in August, spring in January. Summer, there's a combination. You can do what we call 12-week classes, which is the whole summer. You can do 8-week classes, 10, and then there's the 6 and 6. Personally, I'm gonna say I'm not a fan of the 6-week classes. I'm not a fan, especially for young students, not a fan. I taught 1101, which is what I used to teach. I taught the summers 6 and 6. I did it for 2 years, and then I finally said, I'm not doing this anymore, because I don't agree. Fundamentally, I don't agree with it. So I'll teach a 12-week, yes. I don't think, and I personally had issues with this. Now, my colleagues don't agree, they offer it, and that's fine, but I don't have to be a part of it. Because I don't feel that a student can get this, especially in a writing course, can come out, the outcome of that experience will be the same in 6 weeks as it is to a 16-week course. 12 weeks, 10, okay, but definitely not 6. And I'm just saying that. We offer them, they're there, maybe in another discipline, but this is my discipline, and as far as writing, I don't feel that the skills are there. But those are our 3 semesters. So I'm kind of giving you a little bit of dual enrollment advice or information, but like my own personal experience too in the classroom. All right, so who can be dually enrolled? Students in private, public, or homeschool students. Students in grades 6 through 12, so about 12 years old, right? Must have completed at least 1 high school course. So a lot of these, for example, the kids that are going into the collegiate academies, they take algebra in their 8th grade year, so they are able to go right in. They must have a 3.0 GPA on the high school side and a 2.0 on our side. I know here it says 2.5. That's for career. That's for the career certificates. But for the associate in arts or associate in science, it has to be a 3.0. And that we're very strict on. And then test scores. We accept ACT, SAT, and PERT. If they haven't taken the SAT or the ACT and they need to take the PERT, they can take the PERT on any any HCC campus. The test centers, if you go to our website, the test centers, you can enroll, and there's an appointment time for them to come in and take it. During the pandemic, we started doing online PERT exams. So I'm not sure if they're still doing that. You can find out if they're still doing that. If not, you can go in. And the PERT exam covers math, reading, and writing. So there's 3 different scores. If your son or daughter is taking the class, or taking the exam, Google PERT practice. There's a whole lot of practice little exams that they can take before. I would never suggest that they walk in just cold turkey and take it. Like anything, you should always practice. Yes?
If they only pass the English portion and not pass the math.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that, yeah, right. So there are 3 scores. I have the scores there on your sheets. If the first time they take it, it's free. And if they're like me, they'll score really well on the reading and writing and perhaps not make it on the math. So they can take it again. It'll cost $10 to retake just that portion. Or vice versa. If they score really high on math and maybe not do so well in reading, then they can take it again, and it's $10 to just take that one section. All right? Okay, yes?
Is there a disability application for extended time? Or
Sure,
something
there is.
like
I'll get to that.
that?
Yeah. No, it's on. I have it covered, yes.
Can
Yes.
the students break up that test and take them separately
They have to take it all together.
Okay, the first time.
The first time they take it all together, yes.
And
Then-
then they can retake any section that's.
Then they
in
can
the-
retake any section, and it's $10 per section. All right, yes,
On your handout, it says, or home education program with an active articulation agreement with HCC. What is the active articulation?
all right, so we have articulation agreements with hundreds of schools, and homeschool students are different. So
Okay.
an articulation agreement basically means that, we agree to do this and you agree to do that.
Okay.
You know, so together, we have it with obviously Hillsborough County Schools, and then many, many private schools in the area, and charter schools too. Okay, so this is pretty much about, and I'll get more into the testing in a second, I have a slide, let me go the right way, okay. So this, since I knew I was coming to see you, I targeted just for homeschool students, all right? So homeschool students are a little bit different. When you apply, first of all, you apply normally, by the way, when your child applies and you go to the application, you're gonna see two applications, one for regular students and one for dual enrollment. Obviously, pick the dual enrollment one. You'd be surprised what students do. But, pick the dual enrollment one, go that route. When it asks for high school, and it's a little drop-down menu, there's a section for homeschool. You only apply one time. You only apply once. Then you get our HCC number, you're in our system. But each term, now this is the part that, each term, so you apply one time, you're in our system, you get an HCC number, all right, but each semester that I showed you, of the 3 semesters a year, fall, summer, spring, each semester, you have to submit paperwork. And from the high schools, we get what's called the Form B, and a summary statement that shows what their GPA is. From the homeschool, we need a letter of good standing each term. And that will detail what your child's GPA is. So we're going to need a form where you fill out what you'd wanna take, what you're interested in taking, and a letter of, the letter of good standing is really important. And that's what we need each term, as that we put that in, because you'll submit that, we open the portal, right now the portal is closed. I expect to open it March 1st. I'm gonna open it March 1st for a couple of things. I'm gonna open it for petitions, for students who, I'll get to petitions in a second, students who need to petition to retake a class, and I'm gonna also open it for, summer enrollment. Then later on in April, I'll close it, and then I'll reopen it for fall. Yes, let's go, then we'll
And
go back.
The letter of good standing comes from the homeschool office, correct?
Correct.
Which means your evaluation has to be up to date.
See, that part is where you guys tell me about, I don't know that.
Right, the homeschool office will not send a letter of good standing for you if your homeschool evaluation is not up to date.
Okay, thank you, see, that part I
Yeah.
don't know.
So
And
it
what-
comes from the
It comes from the
county.
homeschool office.
Right,
The
mm-hmm,
letter of good standing comes from the homeschool office.
yeah, Hillsborough County Homeschool Office.
No, there's a separate form where
There's
you
a separate form for the GPA, yeah. What was your question?
The letter of good standing should be submitted every term, even if they're not taking classes for that.
Oh, no,
semester.
only for when they're taking classes. No, if you're not taking classes, then,
I wasn't sure if it was to like keep
no,
it
no, no.
open.
Only if you're taking, I'm sorry if I
No, no, no.
was not clear on that, no. Only if you're, for example, let's say you're not taking classes this summer, but you wanna take for fall, then you do that, right, okay, yes.
So they take stuff in the fall, but they don't do anything in spring, they only just do the second, but they come the next fall. They just do, they already applied, they already have it, so they don't do any of that again, they just do.
Right, that's what I was trying to explain. You apply once, and the reason why I make a big deal about that, is because sometimes we have students who apply each time, and then we have them in the system with this, multiple times, and it's just like, wait, which number? You only apply once, and that way once you apply, they give you an HCC number. And by golly, that HCC number is really important that they know it, because everything, we have thousands of students. And so we really need, whenever you call, if you call and ask anything, I'm gonna go into the system, the first thing I'm gonna say is, what's the HCC ID number? And if you don't have it, then it's like, okay, I can look you up by last name, first name, but, you know, if it's John Smith, you know, or Maria Diaz, yeah, I get 300 hits, and then I have to start looking through birthdays. So HCC ID is the way to go. Yes, Nicole?
It's not related to that, but I just have to ask for my sister. You can go to HCC even if you don't live in Hillsborough County, correct?
No. For dual enrollment or for just a regular student? Hold on.
Dual enrollment, she's Polk County, but right next to Plant City, but technically Polk. Okay.
Have
That's what
you,
we heard, but if it's not dual enrollment, she can attend because they have to be registered for the Hillsborough County school system. Is that right?
correct. Correct.
Okay.
Dual enrollment, you have to be a Hillsborough County resident. Now, if she, adult sister, wants to take classes at HCC, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, not a problem. But for dual enrollment, you must reside in Hillsborough County.
But I'm sure Polk County has a community college.
They do.
that.
Polk State has their, yeah,
Okay.
Polk State has their own. I live in Pinellas. I came all the way from Safety Harbor. So like my daughter's 35, but if I had, you know, a young child at home, they couldn't take classes. They'd have to take it over at SPC. Yes.
I wanted to add just a couple things. I personally experienced what she's talking about with, the enrolling, applying twice. Every 5 years I have to renew my teaching certificate, right, to continue to do evaluations for everyone. Even though I'm not in the classroom, to be a certified teacher. So every 5 years I take classes at HCC. Well, the first time I did that, I ended up having to go through tech support because I had.
And they're lovely.
When my kids were doing dual enrollment, we used our family email. Well, I was trying to use my family email, and they kept telling me I was someone else. So I had to get that all straightened out. So those two things, you don't have to reapply. That was throwing them off, that I had already been a student, but I had a different email connected to my daughter. So choosing your email is important, what's gonna follow that student long-term, and applying once.
Yes, and then when they apply, sit with them, please, because they may put, you know, Bobby, but their real name is Robert, you know, or we know a lot of students who go, let's say, Robert James, but he goes by Jimmy, right? So he forgot his first name was Robert. So he goes by his middle name. So, I mean, we have all of those scenarios. So please make sure that it's the legal name that they're putting in, that it's the correct address, that there's an email that will be checked, that you remember the email, that the email is spelled correctly. The other day I had a Bright Star who forgot the H. She was Bright Star, some number at Gmail. And she was calling me like, I have not received my you know, people get indignant. I have not received it. And I'm looking, I'm like, you're not in our system. I couldn't find her. Yeah, the email that's the email it was going to. So things like that are important. So please check that it is an email that is spelled correctly, I know we laugh, but these are real scenarios that really happen. So, yes.
I was gonna say on the letter of good standing you're getting from the county, just a tip on that.
Yeah, sure.
If you will go ahead and send that to the email address, sometimes it can take up to 3 weeks. I've had them come back in the day that I sent it out, just depending on how busy they are. You'll get it back a lot quicker if you just send it by email, and they'll send you back a confirmation on it.
You mean to the county, right? You're trying to the homeschool office in the county,
Yes.
okay.
But that, if you don't get that, sometimes if it takes like 3-4 weeks, then you've missed the deadline to register for your HCC classes.
Yeah,
Early is on time.
yes, I agree. That's a very good point. So thank you for all you experienced folks who are helping me out here on the homeschool side. Okay, so yeah, the next slide is about that. So it's Provide proof of enrollment in the Hillsborough County Home Education Program. Be responsible for your own transportation, right? If you are taking classes on campus, if not, take them online. Demonstrate acceptable placement scores on the PERT or the ACT or SAT, all right? And next. All right, where can they take these classes? At any campus. We have 5 campuses. I passed by the Brandon campus on my way here. There's a Plant City campus, the South Shore campus, those are smaller campuses. There's the Ybor campus, and then there's my campus, Dale Mabry, right? So we've got 5 different campuses. And then, of course, online, the online classes. The online classes are attached to the campuses. Some community college or some, what we call now state colleges, right, in our system, the online community is its own campus. We don't have that. Our online classes are attached to our campuses. So our enrollment, and it's our faculty that are teaching these classes. But that confuses people a lot, because I'll say, okay, so you're taking this class, I need to get approved by the Ybor dean. And they'll say, but it's online. I know, but it's attached to the Ybor campus. So it's how we work our system. You might not know that on your side, but when we have issues that we have to take care of, that they need to go to the academic offices, that's how I see how to route it and where it goes. Okay. Okay, so continued eligibility, maintain, of course, the GPA. So after you apply, you take your classes for the next term. Make sure that you've got the GPA that you need. And then, of course, I had to just put this in, I know it's not, but just any kind of behavior problems with students causes them, because they're young, if we have those, they decide they can't come back. All right, which classes can they take? So let's talk about classes that are approved. Like I said, general ed, and I gave you on this handout, if you look, I wanted to give you what we call, in our system, they'll be pegged as AA dual, as their pathway.
Can you give me 2 of those?
Oh, sure. Do we need some more?
Anybody else? 3? Ooh, hey, for you. She's my neighbor.
Here, just, okay. So, what I did with the classes here is I wanted to give you now let's say they're not gonna go the full 2 years and get the AA, but this is generally what the courses that they should be taking. All right, and then this comes from our course catalog. It doesn't have to be in this order at all. Please don't think like check off, this is the way it is. But these are the courses there are some courses that they do have to take before others. The one that I was highly suggesting is the SLS 1106. You see that on the first box? That's called First Year Experience. It used to be called College Success. And that course, I taught it. And what it does is basically it's a nice introduction to college. Students don't know what a professor's office hour is. They think that an office hour is a time that professors are there grading. No, it's a time that we're available to you to come see us. So that's really important. If it's an online class, professors have online office hours. They are mandated to have office hours. That's really important that you know that. So if they can't meet physically in their office, they can meet online. All right, and most of our folks, we have Teams. You can do a Teams call and share a screen and see where you are. I know I do it in my classes, my 1101 classes. I do that all the time. Let me see where you're going. Share your screen. Where are you? Okay. And I can help and look and see and go over their writing. All right, so anyway, so I don't know, I got into off, but 1106 SLS, it goes over basic academic things, so that's important too. Another thing is students get very confused between the difference between a W and a WN. And here's where I'm gonna go off this and just kind of give you some really good information of stories and things that have happened. A W is when you withdraw, right? A student withdraws from a class. For whatever reason, things aren't going well, you have a certain time. Up until, after the last 4 weeks of a course, you cannot. Of a 16-week, I'm saying. So towards the end, you cannot withdraw. But in the beginning, you can withdraw from a class. If things are in your life are happening, and right, we have that. At HCC, we have a grade forgiveness policy for our native students. Meaning that if a student doesn't do well, if they fail D or an F, they could retake the class. Or if they have a W, that they withdrew from the course. Now, that will remain on your transcript, whether it's the W that you withdrew, the D, or the F. That stays on the transcript. However, if you retake the class, we take the second attempt and we use that towards the GPA calculation, not the first. Does that make sense? But it sits there. That's important for everyone to know. And it counts as an attempt at a course. So that's really important. So that's why we have to think about courses, what we're taking, really think about what we're taking, the sequence, how many, how long the course is, what's going on in my life right now for the next 16 or 12 weeks. What other activities am I involved in? It's really important. Because in the beginning, you're like, oh yeah, I'm so excited. I'm going to do this, this, and this, gung-ho, get the books, all excited. And then reality hits. And you realize the time that you've got. So, and then you're stuck. Because you can own the first week of class is what we call drop-add week. The very first week of each term. We call it drop-add, meaning that during that week, students can drop an add. That this goes for our native students as well as our dual enrollment students. The thing is, you're limited to what you can take, but you can drop this class and take another. Yes, you can, that very first week. But after drop add, you cannot. You cannot. So that's really important. All right. Now, in the dual enrollment world, and this is just particular to dual enrollment, we allow one petition for a retake of a class. One time. Once. You don't want to use it on an SLS class. When students fail SLS, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Were you breathing? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. SLS, failing SLS? Believe it or not, we see it. And that's a clear indication that they're not ready, that this isn't for them right now. I don't mean ever, I just mean right now. It's not for them right now. So it's really, I think SLS is a really great launching course. It's a great place to start. So we cover all these things. We know it's the world of academia, which is different.
Is SLS offered online as well?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's offered online, in
So if
person.
you have a younger dual enrollment student and you're not quite ready to put them on a college campus, it is a great place to start and feel out dual enrollment if you feel they're ready. It's an excellent course. Do they still meet with an advisor and plan?
Absolutely, they do the ed plan.
Yeah, that helped my daughter, the one that she knew she wanted to be a nurse. That advisor was able to lay out her plan for dual enrollment courses that would help her prepare for HCC's nursing program.
Yeah, which by the way, we're going to be a baccalaureate institution, so we're offering a 4-year nursing degree.
Oh, that's
So we're starting in that route. Go HCC. We're not changing our name. You know how many of this, because, just a little off dual enrollment, just to give you a little history. There are 28 colleges in the Florida college system. We call it the grade 28. And we used to all be either community colleges or junior colleges. Remember? Back in our time? Well, I'm older than all of you, but you know what I mean. Right? And so now they've changed to state schools. And so they changed their names. And so we've got a lot of different, I'm like, wait, what's that? Oh, that's the old Eckerd, community college down in Fort Myers, right, so Edison, no, it was Edison.
It was
Edison, not Eckerd, Edison. So now they've all changed their names. We are not changing our name. We will keep community, and even though we are gonna now start offering a 4-year degree and more to come, as this, continues, but we're gonna keep HCC. First of all, we're branded as HCC, we're known, and, so is Tallahassee, they have TCC as well. And community, we always say it's corny, but community's our middle name. So that's part of the reason why I'm here today, because this is part of our community, right? And community's important. So I think that's important. So I just wanted to give you a little side note. Okay, questions? Yes, sir.
Question about enrollment for dual versus traditional matriculated. Is there ever an issue with getting into a course because dual enrollment is less viewed than traditional matriculated?
No, you are. No.
Student.
Yeah, you're a student like everybody else. And by the way, dual enrollment students, if they self-identify to their professors, but nobody asks, they don't ask you questions you're not supposed to be asked. Most do. Most, like right away in those introductions, especially on an online class, it's the first thing they tell you. Hi, I'm a dual enrollment student. But if they don't want to say it, they don't have to. Nor in a classroom situation either. All right, did we have another hand up? Yes.
Yeah, just, can you clarify on the only allowed one petition, is that for a grade forgiveness, is that for?
A retake of a class, a retake.
You can only retake one class your entire time at HCC.
As dual enrollment.
Okay.
As a native student, no, you don't have to petition, you can just retake a class. Hold on, let me not speak out of turn. As a native, we call them native students, right, and it sounds funny, but, as a regular student, right, you can retake a course, yes, but on their 3rd and 4th attempt, then you can take it, but you have to pay out-of-state fees. This is for regular students. In the dual enrollment world, because everything is free and it's no cost, we can't keep saying, okay, keep taking it, keep taking it, keep taking it. So you are allowed to petition one time. It's a form you fill out. It goes to me. I'll look over it and we decide. Yes.
What was the WN? There's difference between
Okay,
WN
I'm getting to. Thank you. Thank you for bringing me back because I went around. I circumvent. So the difference between a W and a WN, that's really important. So we talked about a W, right? It's when the student withdraws himself or herself. Okay. A WN stands for withdrawn for non-attendance. And this is really important in the online world. And we see this all the time, so I really want to talk about this a little bit. When a class begins, if it's a face-to-face class, if a student doesn't attend the first class, the second class, that's add drop week, right? So they can be changing their schedule. So we let that go. By the 3rd class, if a student is not present, they are WN'd by the professor in a face-to-face class. Does that make sense? It's always the first class after add drop week. Because why? Because add drop week goes up until Friday. So we may have a student who changed their schedule Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So they can't be penalized because they just got on Canvas. So we go till the 3rd, right? The 3rd class. Okay. In the online world, that's a little different. There is no meeting. So how we do that is we give students 9 days from when the class begins. There are certain introductory assignments that every single class has. And every syllabus tells you this in an online class. And if students don't complete up to a certain they are WN by the professor. What happens if you get a WN? It's a grade. A WN is awarded by a professor. It is a grade. and it stays on your transcript. So students go, oh, I was gonna get to that. Yeah, I was gonna, but I had this and this and that. Oh yeah, and then Sunday night I fell asleep and I forgot. And let's say most times they're due Sunday at 11:59, right? And they're WN. And they come, and even when I was in the dean role, they come and say, you know, oh, but can you get me back in the class? No, I can't get you back in the class. I didn't take you out of the class, is what I would always say to them. It wasn't me. It was your professor. You gotta go talk to the professor. So, students then have to email if it's online, in person, or however, they just contact the professor and say, whatever the excuse is, I forgot this, that, whatever, and it's up to the professor. Some professors will put you back in, and then the dean signs and approves it. But we cannot, the dean cannot put you back. Only the professor in that course makes that decision. And and many times they've asked me, what do I do? And I'm like, if you think that they can still be successful, that's on you. And that's what I always say, if you think they can still be successful, how much have they missed? Oh no, they barely missed anything. Okay, then you're good. All right, but so, and then what happens in that case? In that case, they sign what we call a reinstatement form, and they're reinstated, and the WN goes away. And they end up with whatever grade. But if they don't do that, the WN stays, and it counts as an attempt.
That's why SLS is, the 1106 is such a good starting point, because a kid who's never dealt with dual enrollment, you have Canvas, which is where all of your assignments are, but you also have an on-campus email address that you have to check. Nothing comes to your personal address, your
No, Hawkmail.
email.
Everything will come to
Right,
Hawkmail.
So you've got a student who's got to multitask technologically. They've got to be responsible to check these different avenues. Okay, my teacher's posting assignments. I'm getting a notice from, you know, something about a dismissal, you know, the hurricane or whatever. So they have to have that level of responsibility and learn how to manage those different avenues. So that SLS is a really great place to start.
Question about that SLS class was, I don't know if I'm remembering this incorrectly, do they have to still take the PERT test and pass that to do just that SLS?
Good question.
Okay, so
Good
they
question.
No?
We don't require PERT scores for SLS.
Cause I'm thinking if I need to get an understanding of what this whole college thing looks like and what they're gonna have to step up and do, that would be great for them.
The
but
two
I'm like,
classes
I'm
that are part of the AA that do not require PERT scores, the first one, or any test scores rather, okay, any test scores, are SLS, 1106, and CGS 2100. CGS is the computer class,
Okay.
where they go over,
Everything.
everything, like Word, Excel.
Is that counted as?
They are counted as electives, yeah. See, the other day, a student was, some mistake happened because we're a big organization, right? And somehow, remember I told you that students are not allowed to enroll for 1 credit classes? So some student enrolled in this 1 credit class, and so I removed him. And mom was very upset with me for removing this student, her son from this class, which was a video, it was out of the Ybor campus. It's some careers in video and film. There's no high school equivalency. They can't take that class. And so what I tried to explain was there's nothing on the other side that's not for dual enrollment students. And then mom said, but what about electives? Electives pretty much are prescribed because your language counts as an elective, your SLS class, your CGS 2100, the capstone course that you take at the very end after you have 45 credits, which we call IDS 2891, that you take your last semester, or should, because you have to have 45 credits in order to take that class. Those they're mandated, but they count as electives. So this program, this dual enrollment kind of liberal arts AA is very prescribed. So it's not like you've got now. Once you go out and go on to your 4-year, that's when you get to take all the classes that you know and things that you love. The hope is that you've fallen in love with something along the way when you're doing your general education classes. Okay, so anyway, going back to this. So that's a very good class to start, and I highly suggest it. And thank you for the scores. Yes. Yes, you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question, because you were saying like, you know, if they get WNs, it's a grade, is that counting as a failing grade?
No, again, no, it doesn't count as a failing grade. It's no GPA,
Okay.
but it does count as an
And what
attempt.
does that mean when you say it counts as an attempt, like is there a limit on attempts?
Well, for us, in the dual enrollment world, you have to petition to retake it.
Right,
And then you just lost that's your one petition,
okay.
you know, so. Yeah, because it's part of your, it'll sit on your transcript. It stays there, and it goes. That's a thing.
They said they don't like to see it.
So, you know, think about that. WNs and because what is that telling that college? That they didn't show up for class or didn't do the work. To me, a WN is worse than a W. Because sometimes you can explain the W, right? Maybe in your personal statement as you're applying, you can explain what happened. My God, we all went through 2 years ago, right? The pandemic, things. Life has changed for us. There's a lot of things have happened. You can explain a W. I don't think you can explain a WN. So that's why I'm just saying. Yes.
You were talking about electives just now, and you said, that there was not an elective for a high school equivalent, which I can understand that. On this, I'm reading, it's like 3 electives.
I know, but the electives, but I'm telling you what they are.
Okay,
So-
so these that are on here, these additional ones are not required for,
So like, see, it says elective 3 credits, right?
Yeah.
Elective 3 credits.
elective 6 credits.
Right, it keeps saying that, but I'm telling, like, the language, whether you take Spanish, French, or American Sign Language. At HCC, we offer Spanish, French, American Sign Language.
Okay.
You have to take 2 semesters of it.
You do have that.
That's 8 credits, because languages are 4-credit classes. So that's 8 credits right there. Your SLS class is an elective.
Which is on here.
Your CGS 2100 class is an elective. Your IDS 2891 is the other elective.
So all 3 of those classes are on here, separate from the 6 and the 3.
Right, because
I
it's
was
just,
making sure that you take those 3, and then in addition, do you take the 6?
when you start to work out everything,
Yeah.
because for example, I mean, this came from the catalog, but the way I like to do it is, if we look at it, the way that, there's another sheet in the catalog, which I like better, but my staff assistant created this. And the first thing is, you have to have 9 credits in communication. So what's 9 credits in communication? English 1101, English 1102, and speech, public speaking, SBC 1608. By the way, we do offer speech online. So if your child wants to take the speech class, they can take it online, not a problem. The only issue is, when they do their speeches, they record them, they have to have an audience. So family gets involved, or friends or whatever. They cannot, and here's where it's dicey. You have to show that you have an audience. Because the idea of public speaking, you gotta have a public to speak to, right? So that's a requirement. Okay, so those are 9 credits with communication. Next. Next come humanities, and there's a list of classes in humanities that you can take. We've got, obviously, our intro to humanities class, HUM 1020. We also have African American humanities, Asian American humanities, Hispanic American humanities. So like in the humanities, there's a whole lot. There's religion, REL 2300 is religion. There's philosophy, which you can do either the intro course to philosophy or PHI 1600 ethics. So I mean, there are many courses, so you have to have 9 credits of your humanities. Then we get into the social sciences. the social sciences, and here I'd like to, it's on here, but I'd like to stop here and make a mention. In the social sciences, it's 9 credits. The humanities, I'm sorry, I said 9, it's 6. 6, because it's 2 humanities, 3 social science, yes. So for the social science, one of the 3 classes must be either psychology, anthropology, or sociology. So either psychology, which is PSY 2012, sociology, SYG 2000, or anthropology, ANT 2000. So one of those. Can you take off, well, you could take 2 of the 3. Then, the next requirement under the social science, which is new, is the state requires a civic literacy exam. And that's brand new, the civic literacy exam that students have to take sometime before they graduate and leave. Sometime, they have to take it. There are 2 courses that help with the prepare you for civic literacy. One of them is POS 2041, which is American Government. The other one is AMH 2020, which is American History, Modern American History. So in that social studies 9 credits, social sciences area, you can take like a psychology and then the 2 histories. Does that make sense? Or psychology and sociology and the American Government class. I mean, you've got things to choose from, but those are 9 credits of social science. Okay, so I'm looking at it visually, that's why I'm going like this. On the next side, we go to the math section. For math, it's 6 credits, and most of our folks take college algebra, which you have to score a little higher on the math PERT to go right into it. If you can't go right into it, if you just can't get that 120, what is it, 123, 124, right? 123. If you don't get that 123 score to get into, you can take MAT 1033, which is intermediate algebra, and that kind of helps you get into college algebra. But college algebra is, I'm sorry?
You can do MIT 1033 as dual enrollment?
That's right, dual enrollment can't. No, I'm thinking of native students. No, dual enrollment students have to take the college algebra, MAC 1105. So you've got to test to be able to take it. And then that and statistics, STA 2033 or 23. I know the humanities real well. That was my area for 6 years. I'm going into math and science world. It's a little different for me. And then when it comes to the sciences, you have to take 1 class with a lab and 1 what we call a C course, a combined course. And there's a host of different classes. I can't even, there's so many of them.
And so this is for the AA, and this is for you to actually receive the AA. So if I have a senior going in, I'm not worried about trying to fit all this in 1 year, correct?
Correct, obviously you can't, you can't.
Exactly, okay, so.
I'm saying
you're
if
just-
these are classes that are open to dual enrollment
Okay.
students. If you have a senior, then you probably would wanna do the SLS class. And if you have an upcoming senior, right? Junior now, upcoming senior. You probably would wanna do, you could get your Englishes out of the way, 1101, 1102, wherever they go, that will be accepted. You may wanna get your CGS class out of the way. I mean, there are some, I would get the histories out of the way too, either the American Government or because they have to take civic literacy if they're going to a Florida school. If they're going to a Florida school, they have to take that civic literacy exam, so might as well get out of the way and take it and be done with that, not have to worry. Because all undergraduates have to have that civic literacy exam, pass it, yes.
Do you offer that exam, and is it like each semester that you offer the civic literacy exam?
Yeah,
or-
you can take it in the test center,
Okay.
yes, and you only take it, I mean, obviously, hopefully you take it once, yes. And that's the way that works, yes.
Sorry, I'm brand new to high school, so this may be a Deva's question.
So you're talking about the course equivalency, right? The high
Yeah,
school
so like-
equivalency?
Yeah, do we do dual enrollment in lieu of English 3 at home, or do we do it?
Correct, yes, yes, you do,
Okay.
in lieu of.
Got it.
Right, it'll take, that's what we call, we have a whole booklet on course equivalency, but it's fine, there's no such thing as a dumb question. No, that's fine. Yes, it counts, it's same thing with your math, right? It'll be your math and your sciences. That's why I went through that whole thing with you, to let you know these are the courses that are offered. But you're right, I mean, if you have a senior, you're not gonna do all that, you're gonna do just what that.
Right.
So everything is very particular to your own child and your own case, and I understand that, yeah, yes.
I have a question about clep tests
Mhm.
and how that, for HCC, I don't know if my student would, be graduating with his AA, but be working toward it. But
Sure.
if he were to take any clep tests, do they,
Yep, we have them in the test center, yep, you can sign up at the test center and take them too. You can take them nationally and then just bring in the scores to the set test center so that we have them, in our, but yes, we do accept,
But they pay for the clep test.
oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Not free, it's not.
Not,
free,
no,
it's
you
not
have to
around
pay
like
for
the
your,
cert.
yeah.
but you can do it through modern states, I think.
Yeah, see, those are things that you all know and you're, yeah.
Modern states, if you do a course in modern states, you get a voucher and then you
Oh,
get
okay,
it's
well,
free
that's,
then.
yeah, but
And it's a
HCC is
prep.
not gonna pay for it,
Yeah.
like
No.
you do the PERT.
We have something also that's, I think, really valuable for, we have something called credit by exam for languages. We have it for French and for Spanish only. These are exams that, because, let me explain the difference. A CLEP exam is a national exam, right? It's by the College Board. So you can take the languages in that. Am I up on time? Next, have to go? Okay.
You are, but they're asking such good questions. The instructor for the next class was listening, and she goes, "This is great. Take your time." I'm bringing her in to join the information. She does our
She's on
SAT,
through
SAT.
Zoom.
Oh,
She's doing
okay.
a Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's here. Are you done with this though? Can I
Yes,
get this?
I mean, I was-
Go ahead, do your thing. I got this.
Okay, anyway, so I just got off that. I was gonna show you something else, but it's fine. This is great. Yeah, so the CLEP exams, they are national exams, right, from the College Board. We have something called credit by exam. And we have it for Spanish and for French. We used to have it for ASL, but no more, because the instructor left and went to USF. So we only have it for Spanish and for French. But they're exams that you sign up for. You have to sign up at the test center to take them. You pay, I wanna say $20 to take the exam. And then if you pass, I believe it's $60, and you get 4 credits of a language. So you can get Spanish, what's SPN 1120, which is Spanish 1. And then if you wanna take Spanish 2, you can take that exam as well. They're 2 separate exams. But I've seen many students that are proficient in a language, and are able to, that way, that's out of the way, and it's cheaper. Well, not for you all, because of course it's included taking the classes, but it would be faster. So yes, there's CLEP and there's credit by exam. Yes,
So 2 quick questions. The SLS, is that one offered over the summer?
yes, it's offered all the time,
Okay.
all the time,
And
and
then,
every modality you can imagine.
so that one might be able to be done?
So, that, and honestly, it's probably the most popular. We have it online, in person, hybrid, you name it, SLS.
Okay. And then another thing for the CLEP, since now you're mentioning that new civics exam.
Mhm.
So if they've already CLEP'd out of American government.
They still, does,
Right, I was like, how does that work?
you have to sit for the exam though, that's a state thing.
Right,
That's, yes.
so but could they
You can,
do
yeah,
that
you could.
at HCC?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Or they're 4-year, either, the deal with this civic literacy, it has to be for your undergrad experience, right? So if you don't do it at HCC, you can do it wherever you're 4-year, if you're staying in the state of Florida. That's a state of Florida mandate. Yes,
So
and I'll
you-
get to you.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
If you do the SLS and the CGS, and since you don't have to take the PERT for those 2 classes, you can sign up for those 2 classes, and then if they are doing pretty well, then you sign up for the PERT test for
The other ones,
registering.
correct.
Okay.
Yes, but you do have to have the GPA. Is that what you were gonna ask? Yes. If you wanna start that way, if you wanna start with CGS and SLS, that's fine, because you do need the 3.0 GPA though. I need to repeat that, you do need the 3.0 GPA. Okay, so yes, you can take those two, and then after you feel comfortable, go ahead and take the PERT and see where you fall on the PERT.
And I will say that SLS is pretty much a no-brainer. I mean, it's not a hard course, but Intro to Computers and Technology is work. It's not a freebie, so
No,
don't go into
neither is SLS. I mean, it's
Right.
not a freebie, there's
It's
work
not a freebie,
involved, but
I mean, Intro to
students fail it.
Computers and Technology is much more involved as far as the reading and the projects that you do, then SLS is very practical. So unless your child is afraid to speak to an adult, like they have to go meet with an advisor and plan out their schedule. If they're having trouble managing these multiple avenues of email and Canvas and these different things, then that could be challenging. But otherwise, as far as the information, it helps, it just like makes sense, like, oh, this campus and that campus, and professors have hours, and this is how I contact them, and, oh, these are some of the classes I could take. It's very practical, whereas the CGS class is a little bit more non-tangible, you know, how did the internet begin, or the World Wide Web, and it's not all just, let's practice, let's use Excel, let's use
But there are
Word.
projects where they have to use
Yes.
Excel and PowerPoint,
It's
and
a great introduction.
it's excellent.
too.
So
Yeah.
that's an excellent class, yes.
Now that they've taken the PERT test, but they only passed the language arts portion, can they go on and take ENC 11
Yes.
or do they have to wait?
No, that's a great question. If they take the PERT and they pass the reading and writing, but don't score in the math, you can go ahead, you're cleared for classes that don't need math. Yeah, yes.
Where do you find like the equivalency between HCC and the high school courses?
On our website, for dual enrollment website, there's a section that says course equivalency, and you can click on that. We have all the course equivalencies
I
on
will say
there.
when your kid takes the SLS class, like they go over, the advisor is so awesome, they go over every single thing with them and what would equal for, I mean, they will,
Oh,
if they
okay.
ask. go
Yeah,
over
because you have to see your advisor twice
Mhm.
during that course.
Yeah.
And you have to turn in what's called an education plan, we call the ed plan. So that's important. You also do, in that class, you also do a career presentation. You have to look up a career and how much money it makes, but how do you get to that? What do you have to study to get to that career? And then they make you look up businesses, and I mean that, so it's a really good course. Yes.
That's part of it.
Early admit is allowed in 12th grade, is that, now if a student chooses that option, do they have to enroll for 12 credits or more?
12 to 15, yes.
Okay.
And if you go under, then you become dual enrollment. Okay, do we know about early admit? Early admit is only, and I'll close out with this, because I know there's somebody else waiting here, and I don't want to take up your time. Hi, how are you?
She's like, I'm fine.
Okay, so early admit is for seniors only, and the way it works in the high school is you're uneligible to be valedictorian and salutatorian. It takes you out of the running. You're in HCC, basically, you're taking all your classes, and you have to take between 12 to 15 credits, both semesters. So that's what early admit is. And it's a separate application. It requires test scores and the GPA as well. That's for senior year. Yes?
So then you pay for those classes?
No, it's dual enrollment. It's considered dual enrollment. It's just we put students in either DE or what we call EA, because they're different. The EA students, early admit students, can take more classes. And a lot more classes.
But they are dual enrolled.
But they are dual enrolled, yes. And it's only senior year. Yes?
Just real quick, I don't know, I heard that if they're 18 and a senior, do they still have to pay for the classes?
You know, I'm so glad you asked that, because that came up, that was kind of my baptism by fire my first week, right? Where they withdrew a student out of class because he was, I want to say 18, 19, but he was a senior. But I kept saying, but he's a senior in high school, so it counts. So I went back to that document, right? Because someone had taken them out, and so I was arguing with them, like, no. So I was like, okay, no problem. I went back to the Florida statute, right, 1007.271, I know it by heart now, looked it up, and it specifically says, as long as the student is enrolled in high school. Age has nothing to do with, because somebody had aged them out and taken them out of a class. So I fiercely defended that student and made him put them back in. So,
Good job.
oh yeah, mama bear all the way. So,
Homeschool senior, like if you're enrolled as a homeschool senior, even though you're 18, you can still take dual enrollment classes. Awesome.
right, it has nothing to do with age. You're a senior. You have, right? That's what the deal is, a senior. You're a senior in high school. Right. As long as you are a high school student, yes, you can take dual enrollment. And you should, and if anybody says anything, go back to that document, because it says it there.
What's that statute number?
It's 1007.271. Florida statute, and it explains, it's all about dual enrollment.
She's a number lady, you got her laughing over
Yes.
What happens if they choose a super senior year, if they were already classified in the system where they would have been a senior next year, and then they want to take a super senior year after that?
What is a super senior year? I don't know what that is.
Just don't wanna graduate yet.
Well, if they're still working on other classes and they're not gonna technically graduate, so they're gonna still be a senior for an extra year, can they still do dual enrollment then?
It's a homeschool thing. I need to look into that. I don't, let me research that, because I don't know, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know the answer to that one, because I've never heard of a super senior year.
I will say that they changed a couple years ago, and they got really tough, strict on the age for dual enrollment, and we had kids that used to would have been able to do it that couldn't because they were 19 or something. Didn't you guys crack down on the age for dual enrollment?
It's not us, I was just sharing with them that it's the Florida statute, but as long as, what I read is as long as you are enrolled in a high school. The student that I gave you was not a homeschool student, he was going to a Hillsborough County school. And I was like, no, it doesn't matter, I think he was like 18 or 19, but he was still a senior.
Right.
So it counted,
Okay, oh, good.
yeah, yeah. So, you can be a senior for 6 years?
No, she's saying as long as you don't. Do something.
Oh, okay, cause see, I don't, the home ed part, I don't know.
No.
We need to get started on the SAT.
Yes,
SAT. So
we
if you
do.
guys had a specific question, would you mind hanging out in the lobby for a couple minutes, maybe?
Okay,
If they had a
sure.
specific question?
Sure.
And y'all just feel free to grab snacks and all that. We're gonna make sure that our technology's working here. Can you speak, Jamie, so I know we can hear you?
Yes, once I got
Oh,
the mute
yeah,
on.
there you go.
Okay.
All right, wonderful. Before I leave you, it was wonderful to spend time with you. If you ever call the office, just let me know that you were part of this group and that we met.
Thank you so much. Thank you.